Hello everybody, welcome to Woo Art. In this video, we'll finally use the brush tool. And we're gonna make a card frame UI element with Hearthstone style. I won't explain the Photoshop basics, so if you're not sure, I recommend you to check the previous videos. Then, let's get started. This is the very first sketch of the frame, and I made a blueprint based on the sketch. I'm gonna explain how this blueprint developed. I drew an oval inside of a box and put a circle in the center. Made an oval with the same size as the diameter of the circle, and rotated it 30 degrees. Created two ovals on both sides of the circle, and rotated them half of the previous oval's angle. Lastly, every diagonal is 45 degrees. So those are the rules behind this. When you work on a UI element, you have to set the fundamental discipline first, because UI design is all about rules and patterns. That's why most of UI designers make a grid before design an icon. You don't need to make a strict grid since it's more about painting, but it would be nice to have at least a few fundamentals. So I made blocks of shapes based on this. I'm gonna paint over from here. Rasterize every shape and lock transparent pixels. The main light comes from the top right corner. The ring in the center looks boring, so let's adjust the shape. I'm gonna make a piece of decoration and duplicate it, so the ring consists of 6 of the same smart objects. Then you can change the whole shape by adjusting one object. Turn it into a smart object. Duplicate and rotate each piece. We'll paint over on this object, so this is just for guidance. Okay, paint base color for the orb. And the frame on the bottom left corner should have opposite light and shade. I don't know why I chose this onion-like color, but this blue, violet, pink color is kind of my favorite. If you have your own preference, feel free to use different color. The orb will be glowing, so the inside of this ornament should be brighter than the outside. Add padding between the frame and the base. And the edges of the frame should be brighter than the nearby area. I'm gonna put W in the center of the orb, because it's Woo Art. So since the frame made with metal, don't forget to paint reflected light. Roughness of surface, scratch, strong highlight, and reflected light are very fundamental factors of depicting metal. The areas near highlight should have a vivid and warm color. Of course, it could vary depending on the color of a light, but in most of cases, a vivid and warm colors can boost the feeling of being highlighted. Okay, moving on to the center. Firstly, set the base light and shade. Paint over very roughly for now, we'll be back later. I personally believe that if you want to be a good illustrator, you should be good at using grays. I'm not talking about a chromatic grays. I mean off grays, cool grays, warm grays, sort of things. Those kinds of colors give a nice vibrant with valence, so I recommend you to try using them. Okay, I think the base is done for now. Let's draw the pattern behind. Okay, cool. Make this letter look like carved in the orb. I'm thinking of painting something like a rough gemstone for this part, so block out colors on the surface. Just give a subtle feeling for now. I'm gonna add a layer mask to the frame group to make it easy to paint on its border. And scratches here and there. Okay, group area layer and add a stroke. Depict the material of the border padding. Add some decorations. This part is the stone slab, so draw some cracks. If you want to make a resource for a game with a realistic art style, then you can add some textures on top. But I prefer a hand-painted texture, so I usually just draw it rather than using a real texture. copy-paste this pattern to the opposite side. This space looks too empty, let's add something simple. I'm not sure about this part, but leave it like this for now. Okay, it's time to deal with the ring in the center. Make it look more interesting. And you also need to think about how each part assembles to each other. Okay, the base is done. Let's start to paint over. Nice, it's enough. Moving on to the gemstone. Polish the letter and I'm gonna emphasize its outline. The letter covered in the gemstone, so there should be cross sections. Okay, polish the gemstone. Copy the pattern from the frame and paste it to the opposite side. I'm gonna add outline around the ring to emphasize its shape. I decided to use one type of elements behind the ring because it looked too busy with two types of decorations. This part made with old cloth. Okay, it's good now. Let's polish the stone slab part. Add very subtle texture, because it shouldn't border the main object. I changed my mind for this pattern, make it darker than the base. Add some different colors and shadows from other elements, and emphasize its border. Just give a subtle feeling. And polish this part as well. I want to give a bit of depth between the stone slabs and the decorative lines. Okay, cool. It's time to add the final touch. Paint soft glass thingy with the airbrush. Smudge tool is very useful for this kind of morphing. And change the blending mode of the layer to overlay. Add one more layer with bright color and change its blending mode to linear dodge. Add some sparks. Duplicate the layer. Blow it and change the blending mode. Then it's done! We made a card frame. Did you enjoy the process? Then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. More amazing videos will be coming. See you very soon. Bye!